Welcome to the SailPoint Identity Security Solutions Show, the one place you go to learn about SailPoint's products and portfolio. Again, we're at Navigate 2025, Grady. Can you believe we're here?
Here we are.
Awesome. Well, joining me today, as you all know, is Grady Slane, Director of Product Management here at SailPoint. Grady, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you on again.
James, thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Well, as you know, we're going to jump right into it. A lot of product announcements this time around. So first, let's talk about Atlas.
Okay.
So we launched some exciting advanced Atlas capabilities this time. Can you walk us through kind of what they are, the type of organizations they're designed for, and a little bit of how they really shift the world of identity in an enterprise security compared to traditional governance approaches?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'm a product manager, so I'm going to start with the problems that we were really set on solving.
Awesome.
That's all right. All right, great. So in a nutshell, the organizations and their mandate, particularly identity teams, is really changing. As we know, things are shifting from purely like a governance focus to more of like a true holistic security focus. But the organizations that are trying to brave this new frontier are really struggling, right? Identity teams, historically, they've been working in admin time and they don't have access to the kind of signals from other security products. They can arm those teams with the context they need to actually achieve true identity security. And then the teams that you typically think of as being responsible for security, like the Security Operations Center, keeping the bad guys out, identifying when these attacks are happening and stopping them, et cetera. They're really trying to do their job without any access to identity context today whatsoever. And that's kind of like trying to win a fist fight with one arm tied behind your back, right? So we have security tools and identity tools and teams that are not interoperable today. And that is really resulting in not only longer investigations, slower time to response, but candidly, it's just increasing the likelihood that when one of these identity attacks does happen, that there will not be a response before real harm is caused.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's not. And these are on the rise, right? And so that's really what we were set out to solve with Atlas Enterprise for these customers that are trying to not just pass their audits, but really tackle security, right? And oftentimes this is the largest, most sophisticated organizations in the world, but it really depends on the maturity of the customer in terms of their identity, like where they are in their journey, right?
Awesome.
So we've been focused on, with Atlas Enterprise, 4 key capabilities. One is shared signals framework. So we're able to actually get our hooks into real-time threat signals and start to bridge that gap between admin time and real time where these threats are actually happening. The second is dynamic security orchestration so that we can empower our customers to build any kind of automation that they wish for in response to those threat signals, driven by any type of context and leveraging any type of human-in-the-loop process they might want. And I'll get into that in a second. Thirdly, we have adaptive approvals, which is just a new way of handling approvals in Identity Security Cloud that is really powerful for preventing lateral movement from a nefarious actor. And the last thing is custom dashboards, which empowers admins to create bespoke visualizations and views into identity context for new types of user groups like the Security Operations Center.
So let's kind of start with using real-time threat signals. So how does using real-time threat signals and dynamic workflows help customers make smarter, quicker, risk-aware access decisions?
Yeah, so again, a big part of it is operating in a real-time or near real-time sense, right? Identity governance, identity security has traditionally been more of an admin type operation. So things move at the pace of an approval for an access request or a certification, but threats nowadays don't work at that speed. They work much faster, right? So shared signals is an emergent framework that is quickly gaining traction in the space. And what it allows is for vendors to not only distribute threat signals when their individual systems recognize that there's something going on, but also allows for the same vendors through a receiver to actually ingest these threat signals so that you can kind of have a more robust identity fabric. So with this shared signals framework, we're able to actually take like a CAPE device compliant change event, right? We'll be able to listen for that type of threat signal. And upon receipt of that type of threat signal, the first thing we're going to do is actually correlate that signal to a specific identity. So or something happens on a workstation, we know it's this person's workstation, right?
Right.
And then via dynamic security orchestration, again, we get to empower our customers to build the right response to that type of threat signal.
Right.
And the thing is that it's probably not going to be one type of response.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So using like one of these device compliance change events, right?
Yeah.
Something as minor as an OS not being updated could trigger one of these signals, right? In that type of circumstance, you're not going to want to start just killing all of the accounts associated with that identity. Whereas something like a device actively being compromised, maybe that is the right response, or maybe just, removing the privileged accounts for now, right? So we are providing that kind of flexibility for the right signal to trigger the right response. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing about this is that we can actually effectively introduce new types of approvals in these automations when the signal is muddy. And that happens a lot. I mean, there's a reason that SOC teams have to do investigations, because it's rarely like this, this signal came in, we know exactly what happened.
Exactly.
And so by actually being able to embed an approval flow in that automation and pull in a new group of users like the SOC, make them aware of what's going on, and provide for them all the context, including links to things like that identity graph so they can do a thorough investigation. We can empower them to make the informed decision and package all of the tools in one place for them to actually drive that response.
That's super powerful.
Absolutely.
That's super powerful. So you were talking adaptive workflows.
Yeah.
And, they're gaining traction for us. I mean, we're moving in this way. Customers are guiding us a lot of times, and we're looking ahead. So what are some of the different use cases you're seeing customers adopt them for? And how is adding this more flexibility into workflows helping them tailor what you were talking about, the right decisions based off context and risk?
Yeah, so these adaptive approval workflows can be leveraged in a couple different ways. One of them I already talked about, which is starting to embed new types of approval flows in response to threat signals, right? And by the way, all those are auditable, so they're there for whenever you need them, right? But the other way that we can make use of these adaptive approvals is by actually changing the governance logic around key processes like access request approvals. So the way that access request approvals have been treated in ISC today, up to this point, has been that you kind of set the approver, and that doesn't really ever change. It's the manager, it's the role owner. Maybe it gets routed to a governance group where one person has to approve. That's not super flexible in a world where identity threats are happening much faster. And so with these adaptive approvals, what we can actually do is set a workflow as the approval path for a designated access object. And so that can really become beneficial in a couple different use cases that come to mind. One is your most privileged entitlements, roles, et cetera, right? If these are the things that kind of contain the keys to the kingdom or contain really sensitive access to really sensitive financial information or whatever, you may want additional scrutiny around how somebody gets access to that. So you could, instead of it just going to the manager, you could have a multi-step approval where first it goes to the manager, then it goes to the application owner, then it maybe has to get cleared by the SOC team before that individual can actually be granted that access upon request, right? And we can embed other types of conditionality in there. We can do a check with an XDR tool to make sure there's nothing weird going on in a connected system. We can make sure that it's not being requested at a weird time of day or in a geo that user shouldn't be in. And all these things can drive different types of responses, including just like, nope, you're not getting this, or we need to include more people to make sure that this is something that's actually, in normal range.
Awesome. Another
way that we can use this, though, is outside of security use cases and just to make your governance program easier. So take location-dependent approvals. It's very common, particularly for our large customers, to have multiple offices around the world. When people are requesting things, they might want somebody that runs that office to make the call on whether or not somebody can access something without having to create location-specific access, right? And so with an adaptive approval, we can do things like make sure that a generic entitlement or role gets routed to the office manager or the person running that office for an individual requesting access to that thing at that office.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's just the flexibility of that level of automation, because we've talked automation before in a podcast. Just that flexibility is incredible. So I'm going to pivot on you like I always do.
Great.
What role does customizable persona-based dashboards play in giving stakeholders the right visibility without over-provisioning access? Because even just seeing the data is something significant.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of this is making sure that people have the right context for fulfilling their job or whatever they're trying to achieve, but also not giving them too much access and really over provisioning those users, right? We have a couple things in flight to address that. One of them is the limited availability of custom user levels. And so that within the context of ISC can help limit what folks can do in ISC. So that's an exciting new capability. But another one that's part of Atlas Enterprise is these custom dashboards. And what's neat about these custom dashboards is that we are empowering the admin to create these dashboards, name them, populate them with out-of-the-box widgets that we have been adding to. We've added like 9 in the past 6 months. But for the first time, they can also take reports out of Access Intelligence Center, which is our in-product BI tool.
Very powerful.
And they can package these reports as widgets that can then be embedded in these custom dashboards. Awesome. And these custom dashboards are treated as entitlements. So the admin gets to control exactly who can actually see these things.
That's awesome there.
It's very cool.
That's super cool. And kind of going back to a point you made around the right information, the right context to make the right decision.
That's right.
It's powerful.
And so, a SOC team is going to need a completely different set of reports than, let's say, your executives who are going to want to stay in tune with the health of the identity program, but they're looking at different metrics fundamentally. You could do the same thing for auditors, giving them visibility into things that you might want them to have that is not relevant to the SOC, not relevant to the executives, whatever, right? But that's it's really the power of our platform and where we're going, empowering our customers to achieve their goals with less effort.
Awesome. So last one, and as you know, it's always kind of a looking forward. So looking ahead, how do you see Atlas evolving? I mean, to meet this next wave of identity security challenges. You were here and a part of when we announced Atlas. It was at Navigate a couple of years ago.
That's right.
This is a major step forward. How else do you see it evolving over the years?
I think we're going to continue investing in these same areas, right? Trying to make sure that we are fulfilling that mission of delivering true identity security, trying to really reinforce our platform, make sure it's filling the core purpose of a platform, which is to empower customers to achieve their end goals with less effort, right? So we're going to continue to see investments in UI customization. Things that we're looking at are empowering customers to build their own widgets from scratch, possibly being able to embed their own UIs in ISC, which could unlock a range of potential use cases, not just for customers, but for our partners. Another area that we're going to be looking at quite heavily is policy and pursuing policy engine type experiences to power global type configurations that can be robust enough to handle even like real-time authorization type use cases.
That's awesome.
So we have a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire for the platform, but it's all oriented around, again, driving true identity security and empowering our customers to really achieve their end goals at the end of the day.
Grady, that's super exciting. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm really glad to get you on the show again. Really appreciate you,
James. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I want to thank you for watching and listening. If you want to learn more about Atlas and these new advanced capabilities or any of our announcements here at Navigate 2025, join us at SailPoint.com. Thank you.